Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 214 of Sports Card Nation. Today we are going to talk about something that's not new, but has really come up again into the hobby public eye, if you will, and that's upcharges. And I know PSA is sort of the poster boy for them, and rightfully so, but they're not the only one that does it. So we're going to talk about it. I'm going to weigh in. If you've listened to me before, you sort of know my stance or what I think of them. I've had Peter Steinberg, Nat Turner on the show, asked them about it, kind of got the company line, if you will, on that. But really haven't done a standalone episode on it. And I know it's sort of kind of the big topic on hobby content, but wanted to weigh in for those that listen, kind of my stance and having a different angle, being a bulk subber for SGC, subbing to both PSA and SGC as a collector and dealer as well. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back with the release schedule, some news, and today's topic.
Okay, now a quick word from our great sponsor, followed by the new product release schedule. Then we'll go around the hobbyverse to tell you all the latest hobby happenings and news. Then we'll tackle today's topic of discussion.
Hi, this is Pat Hughes, Cubs announcer, coming to you from the Sports Card Shop in beautiful New Buffalo, Michigan. The Gocher family has built an incredible place here for collectors to buy, sell, and trade cards and memorabilia. Be sure to stop by and let them show you around. TheSportsCardShop.com, connecting sports, athletes, the hobby, and collectors around the world.
Hi, this is Alan Pinkett, and I'm here to tell you the Gocher family has done it again. They've just opened up the Sport Card Shop in downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, and it is awesome. If you're a collector, you need to check this place out. Tell them Alan sent you and get a free gift on your first visit.
Let's check out this week's Hobby Wax releases. Take it away, Max.
Hey guys, it's Max from the Sports Card Shop, bringing you guys the weekly releases for these upcoming few weeks here. Starting off on the 22nd of October, we had 2025 Panini Impeccable Football, 2025 Panini Impeccable Live Golf, 2025 Topps Diamond Icon Baseball, 2025 Topps Holiday Baseball 3 Tin Box, as well as the Mega. And on the 23rd, we have 2025 Topps Basketball Blaster, Hobby, and Jumbo, the 2025 Panini Donruss WNBA Basketball, and 2024 Panini Eminence Football. On the 24th, we have 2025 Topps UFC Knockout. On the 27th, we have 2025 Topps Holiday Baseball Advent Calendar, as well as 2025 Panini Phoenix Football, 2024-25 Upper Deck Premier Hockey, as well as on the 30th, we have 2025 Topps Holiday Basketball Mega and the Basketball Countdown. And on the 31st, we have 2025 Bowman Chrome University Football Blaster and the Breakers Delight, the Hobby, the Jumbo, and the Mega, as well as 2025 Absolute. Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast and enjoy the rest of the show.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
And find out. All right, like it or not, Topps is taking over the basketball licensing this year. They released the first Topps with logos Cooper Flag rookie. And speaking of rookies, if you like the Major League debut patches, randomly scattered throughout Fanatics and Topps baseball products, that trend will carry over to the basketball side. So the rookies in the NBA will have a NBA rookie debut patch, which will be future 101s in future Topps basketball products. On the autograph front, Riddle, the manufacturers of pro helmets, they do the full-size helmet you see in gameplay, and then they do the mini helmets for autographs. The full size ones cost $400. The mini size ones cost between $35 and $45. Well, Rydell, I should know that as a former football coach, has announced a new mid-size version called the midi, which will be the exact in between the mini helmets and the full-size helmets, all up to spec, just different size. And those will retail for $120. And they're making pro and your favorite NFL colleges. So it's a little bigger, can get more autographs on it, still will fit on a shelf for those who do NFL autographs. Leaf and Rival Scouting Service have announced a collaboration where Leaf will be able to use Rival scouting reports and ranking system, and there's a future products in the work that will trend and track high school players all up through their college days. Very early stages of that, so not sure what that really looks like or entails. So we'll have to stay tuned for a future Leafs Rivals collaboration. We all heard about the strike in Canada on the postal services. There's been announced that they are going to rotate their strike, so there will be some movement of letters and packages, not at the speed you normally like or accustomed to, but things will start get moving again. So things will get delivered, just not at the pace you would probably like it to. But that's good news, so stuff isn't stuck in limbo. And Fanatics has announced their Fanatics Fest is expanding from 3 to 4 days next year. And also, they're going to get 25% more of the Javits Center to use. So the show's going to be bigger. They're adding a Thursday, and the dates are now July 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. And if the light bulb goes on, that's literally 2 weeks before the National in Chicago. So July, if you are one that attends all these events, you are not going to be home much in the month of July. So let the family know that they'll see you maybe in August, depending on what your schedule looks like. But so almost 2 weeks of show between National and the Fanatics Fest. And yes, I know they are different events, but they pertain to the hobby both. So you're looking at half the month of July accounted for with show. So there you go. There's the news. All right. Upcharges are not a new hobby phenomenon, if you will. They've been around a while. PSA is, again, the poster boy for them. And for those that may not know exactly what an upcharge is, it's when a grading company grades a card that goes over a certain value that's sort of a more desirable card, and they will charge an upcharge. Generally, if it's $3,500 or more, it's going to start at an $85 upcharge and go up. Obviously, the more significant the card, those upcharges will go up from $85. And I've had it happen to me one time years ago, but I bulk sub for SGC, even though they've gotten rid of their bulk subber rates, and I've had about 5 to 7 cards upcharged for my customers in the last couple years. 3 or 4 of them were Michael Jordan rookies. Another one was a Mickey Mantle rookie, the 51 Bowman, and another one was a Joe Namath rookie, and maybe one other one. And I'm speaking for myself here. I don't like them, right? I don't like them personally. To me, the grading card company sort of should be honored. That you trust them to grade that significant card, and you pay that grading fee, and that should cover it. I use an analogy. I might have said this before on one of my content episodes. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you order a steak, and you tell them how you want it cooked, what you want with it, and let's say the steak's $50 or whatever. We'll use $50, and then all of a sudden, 25 minutes later, the chef comes out with this beautiful looking steak on the skillet, comes to the table and says, I know this steak was $50, but I just made the greatest steak I've ever made in my chef career, and it's going to cost you $85. You wouldn't be happy with that, right? You bought a steak for $50. You want the chef to do the best job he or she can in preparing your food and your meal and your steak, right? Why do you have to pay extra if they feel like, it came out really well? And so I always feel like Upcharges is a money grab, right? It's hey, we can make some extra money on certain cards here off of certain. And I would rather they say, hey, man, this is awesome that, John Doe here is trusting PSA, SGC, whatever grading company. They picked us to put this Mantle rookie, this Jordan rookie, this Ted Williams rookie, just Joe Namath rookie in our slab, not when they could have went with somebody else, rather than kind of beat them over the head. Now, the powers that be, folks, will tell you that there's a reason for the upcharge, right? They have to insure the package maybe for more because of now the value of the card is significantly more. I really can't argue that per se, but that was a significant card to begin with. And so the insurance is sort of baked in there. The other thing they will tell you is those are the kind of cards that not one grader is looking at. That is going through maybe 2, 3, even potentially 4 graders to get the grade right and the significance of the card right. And again, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but we don't know that happens. And we're when you sub a card, right, you're paying for one grader to you're paying for that grading company to grade it. If they choose to have 2, 3, 4 different graders look at it to get that final grade, why do we necessarily have to foot that bill? I get the insurance stuff, and maybe there could be an upcharge. I guess that could be a debate too, as to the price level of upcharges. So I won't throw upcharges completely out of the realm of possibility, but maybe make that price a little less stinging. Now, I will tell you from personal experience that, like I mentioned, those 5 to 7 cards that were upcharged through my bulk submission service with SGC. That's automatically charged out of my bank account. So I'm paying those upcharges for my customers up front. Then I have to call them and let them know that, hey, good and bad news, depending on, or both, right? Both of your card has been graded high enough where it's over that upcharge value, and now you owe an additional $85. I haven't had a card. I take that back. I had one card have $170. That was the Mantle upcharge, but all the other ones were at the 85 level through SGC. And I will say this, full disclosure, in those 5 or 7 calls that I made to those 5 or 7 different people, they were actually not upset about it. I was waiting for, maybe a little disgruntledness, if you will, or really, or but I guess people, that the 5 or 7 instances, those folks were glad it got that grade to warrant an upcharge. And so I guess it's bittersweet. Like, no one wants to pay more money, but I guess when people are getting maybe a higher grade than they thought, or a significant bump in value on a card that they sub, that it hurts a little bit less. I've heard, and this is a great point. Someone else made this on social media. Some people sub cards who have a limited budget. Maybe they send 2 or 3 cards. Maybe it's a loved one's cards that they left them and they want to get it graded. They have no intention to resell. It's a sentimental card, even though it's significant. It's sentimental card. Now they're getting, if they're on a tight budget, now they're paying 85, 170, a few $100 more, and even potentially more if it's a huge card. And that can be a tough pill to swallow. And you're not going to get your card till you pay for, that upcharge. And even with me, they, with the SGC ones, they take that right out of my account, and I have to let the person who subbed with me know that they owe an additional amount of funds. I haven't had that issue, thankfully, but I thought, what could I do if someone says, hey, I don't want to pay it? Well, obviously, I can't give them their card back until it's paid. Maybe work out a payment plan if, that's not in their budget. I haven't had that problem, so I can't speak to sort of any kind of plan Bs and that sort of thing. But not everyone has different budget and discretionary incomes. And I've heard, I've seen people report like, hey, I just wanted to have this card graded for me. It was my dad's, to stay on my desk or in my safe. I have no intention of ever selling it. And now it's going to cost me, in addition to what I already paid for the grading, I got to pay an additional $400 or whatever the upcharges. What are solutions, right? We can complain and talk about like, hey, I hate upcharges, and I do. I make no bones about it. As someone who's had to tell people that you're being upcharged, as someone who's had a card upcharged, I don't like them, right? No, who does? Really, I mean, if you can say you can have the same card and not pay the upcharge, everyone's going to obviously take that option. So what are some solutions? Well, I was thinking this. What about, and I don't love this idea, but I'll throw it out there, right? When you get something certified and autographed through JSA, right, they'll charge you based on the player. So like to authenticate a Lou Gehrig auto, it's going to cost $300. To do a Mickey Mantle, I think it's $100 or $125. To do a Bob Feller, it's going to be $10 or $15. What about these grading card companies sort of having that already built in? When you go online and put in that 51 Bowman Mantle, instead of it being $25 to grade, it's going to be $100 to grade based on the card. When you put that Jordan rookie on that itemized line, right, it automatically detects that and says, hey, that Jordan rookie, instead of being $25, is going to be $75 to grade. Just kind of a flat fee, kind of a known. And if it gets a 9 to 10, it gets a 9 to 10. If it gets a 2, they're still getting their $7,500, whatever they deem a Jordan rookie should cost to grade. I'd rather it be on the upfront, at least then going in. If PSA says every Jordan rookie that gets subbed to us is going to be $100 to grade through us, whether it's a 1, whether it's a fake, you go to sub it and it turns out to be a fake, it's still $100. If it gets a 9 or 10, it's still $100, right? Then kind of going in, like everyone knows a Jordan rookie is going to be $100, and they can do that. I mean, it's going to be a little work on their end, on their IT end as well. But I'd rather that than the upcharges after the fact. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. And again, PSA is not the only one that upcharges. I just talked about the SGC. Other companies do it as well. And I've had stuff, I'll kind of, as we're coming down the stretch here, I've had cards come through my SGC bulk subs that I even warned the subber, right? Like, I got to give you a heads up. This card has potential to be upcharged. You might be looking at $85, potentially more, probably $85. The person okay, let me know. And some of those cards I sort of self-flagged, I got to be honest with you, went through. Got a grade, never upcharged. I had a Paul Skeens, 1 of 1, gold, I don't know, Topps Chrome, it wasn't my card. Probably at the time, I don't know what it is now, but at the time, pretty close to 5 figures, if not 5 figures. Kind of figured it'd be upcharged, warned the guy, and never got upcharged. Thankfully, I mean, no one wants them, right? But that they could have upcharged that. That was more than the 3 or 4. It was worth more, at least on paper, than the 3 or 4 Jordan rookies that got 5s, 6s, and 7s through my bulk sub. So yeah, I mean, sometimes I think they look for certain ones. They think they're certain significant cards that they flag. Jordan rookie, Mantle rookie, a Namath rookie, and the list probably goes on. T206 is the significant. Obviously, a Cobb, Wagner. Those are bigger names, right? So they could, if they wanted to bake in the charges on the upfront side with a little work and diligence, they could do it. And if they're going to upcharge, I'd rather people know going in what it's going to cost them, whether that's $100, $200. Like I said, JSA will charge you $300 to authenticate a Lou Garagotto. That's on the high end, and it goes from there. So maybe have sort of a grading scale based on the card sort of ahead of time. That way hey, every time I sub a Jordan rookie, it's $100 no matter what. Whether it gets, not authenticated as a fake or it gets a 9 or higher or whatever. Like it's gonna cost that amount of money. So love to see that a little more like transparency and stuff up front than hey, you got to pay more. And sort of holding your card hostage, right? When those upcharges happen, they have your card. You don't pay them, you're not getting it. As a bulk subber for SGC, they take it right out of my direct debit account, and that's the other thing. I always have to make sure, right, I have enough money in that account for if an upcharge occurs. Usually that's no issue. But you never know, right? So you always got to be prepared. So I'd love to see him go away. I think we all know that's not going to be the case. So, what other solutions, right? Mine is upfront, right? And just have some sort of grading, card sort of assessment to individual cards. This card to grade is always going to be $100. You got a T206 Ty Cobb, it's going to be $150, regardless of grade. And that's what I'd vote for that. Well, first I'd vote for no upcharges, but if we can't get rid of them, I would vote let's see them on the front end rather than the back end. But what say you? Do you have an alternative solution, even besides the one I gave with the upfront? Do you like what it currently is at, where it's just based on value, and it could be any card that falls onto that value post grading value level? What are your solutions or thoughts? I'd love to hear them, and maybe we can share them on a future episode. All right, thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/sportscardnationpodcast/ Twitter, we are at sportscardnat1, so it's sportscard NATI1. Instagram at sportscardnationpodcast. Or you can email the show, hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.